Support for the Fitness Doctor provided by Razzano Chiropractic, combining the knowledge of nutrition, exercise, sleep, and chiropractic care. Dr. Razzano will help you heal faster and achieve your wellness goals. Razzano Chiropractic, located on Skyway Drive in Monroe.
Hi, and welcome to the Fitness Doctor here on ESPN 730, the program where we address your exercise, nutrition, and overall health needs. My name is Troy Press, the point guard of the show. Some compare me to Kemba Walker, and here now, Big Al Jefferson, as well as the Bobcats, are playing, an exercise physiologist in the School of Sports Sciences at Wingate University, the Fitness Doctor himself, Dr. John Acquaviva.
Thanks, Troy. Today our topic is childhood obesity, in particular the causes for this epidemic, both eating and fitness related, and some solutions to combat against this issue. It's a big topic today. What do we got in store, Troy?
All right, Doc. Great show as always. This segment's rundown. Special in-studio guest Stephen Vaughn is in the building. We have a quick Q&A with Dr. A, the social media breakdown, and fitness nuts in the news.
Awesome. All right, my special guest today is Stephen Vaughn, the founder and owner of XCel to Fitness, an after-school and summer physical activity program for boys. He is also a former physical educator in Union County. He's going to be a perfect guest for our topics today. Stephen, welcome to the show, and thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome you're here. More on our topic for the day. We're going to be chatting about obesity in all Americans, but in particular, the high levels of body fat in children. In fact, 67% of all adults are obese or at least overweight, while 18% of children are obese. Now, let's compare that to 30 years ago. Only 7% were obese. So we've gone from 7% 30 years ago to 18% currently. This is why we're going to dedicate this today's show to this topic. Our focus is to address some of the causes for this issue, obesity, and then what parents can do to treat or prevent it. And along the way, of course, we hope to hear from some of our listeners. Troy, before we go on, the social media info.
All right, if you have a question regarding today's topic or would like to request a future topic, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Real simple here, the Fitness Doctor. That's at WU Fitness Doctor. Once again, WU Fitness Doctor. Or feel free to email us at woofitnessdoctor@wingate.edu.
I like the bell.
Doc, do you know what that means when the bell triggers?
I think you're going to ask me something.
I am going to ask you something. Now, a segment of the show called the Quick Q&A with Dr. A. This is where I shoot a couple questions at the doc, picking apart his brain, and to get us started on today's topic. All right, Doc, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's roll. Question number 1. What is the difference between overweight and obese?
This is a good one. Overweight has to do with if you weigh more than you should at the height you are. And obesity usually has to do with a percentage of body fat. So in other words, all people who are obese are overweight. But if you're overweight, doesn't necessarily mean you're obese. But just to clarify that a little further, people who are overweight are generally on their way to obesity. So either way, they weigh a little more than they should at the height they stand.
All right, cool. Question number 2. Which is a bigger factor of obesity, food or lack of activity?
Yes. I don't really know which one to go with on that, but if I had to say, if somebody just said absolute answer, I would say food is a bigger factor. And I know that's probably pretty difficult to hear coming from an exercise physiologist, but I would say between the two, I would say food.
All right, question number 3 to wrap it up. Will obesity always be a problem?
Will it always be a problem? Unfortunately, I think it will be, mainly because for this reason, I think. More of our technology and leisure activities are technology-based, I should say, and I think that's going to always be a problem because I think technology is just going to improve and it's going to be advanced, and I think we're going to look to that for more of our kind of leisure needs or to meet that leisure need. But also, I think there are going to be even more advanced medicines and operations for people who are obese, and I think they're going to just fall back on that. In other words, they're going to say, well, if I get obese or become overweight, I think there's a doctor out there or a surgery procedure that can help me with that issue.
All right, that was quick Q&A of the day. And now, back to the doc.
All right, Stephen, let's get to this list we have for some of the reasons of obesity. Now, we both have a list in front of us for our talking points of the day. You and I both agree that the list could probably go on, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, my guess is just glancing at it, we have 6 or 7 things to talk about. Let's just talk about them one by one. The first one on our list is sugar, and both in beverages and in foods. And the reason that this is such a big deal is this, folks. When we consume high amounts of sugar, like, for instance, through a 32-ounce beverage, like from a fast food restaurant, or we consume several cookies at a certain feeding, like after a meal or for one of our snacks, our glucose levels go up. And when our glucose levels goes up, that harms our body's ability to burn fat. Now, if we, say, take in a couple Cokes a day or a couple beverages or sugary snacks a day, in the overall scheme of things, that's not that big of a deal. But the fact is people tend to do it over and again. In other words, I've met numerous people who drink 6 and 7 and 8 beverages a day.
Yeah.
And because of this, it's going to cause our body to release what's called insulin. It harms our body's ability to burn fat. And therefore, the sugar, although it contains no fat in and of itself, is going to harm our body's ability to burn fat. Now, just out of curiosity, Stephen, would you put this up near the top of the list too? Do you see this as a big problem as I do?
I definitely would, and I agree with you completely with thinking that it needs to be approached in moderation. Yeah. I don't think it's realistic to think that everyone can just cut it out completely, but just taking those baby steps to wipe out, replacing one soda with a water beverage a day, to just slowly start reversing that effect that we have on our bodies through sugar consumption.
Now, you graduated with your undergrad degree in physical education what year?
05 from App State.
05 in App State. Okay, so you've been out for just about 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
Now, in most of your education experience is dealing with elementary school kids, right?
Correct.
Just out of curiosity, if you had to guess, the average kid today, how many sugary beverages do you think they consume in a given day?
Oh, at least 3 to 4.
At least.
Yes, I would. That might be on the low end.
Yeah, it might be. And the reason I ask is I was wondering if that would be that would put those guys in the category of this going into this insulin effect, but 3 or 4 might be on the cusp. Certainly less than that would be better.
Right.
But I agree with you. You made a good point. We can never stop people from eating a cookie or a donut or whatever the case is, or having a sugary drink. We just want to limit it and certainly keep it below 3 or 4 per day.
And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with that thought, thinking they have to completely cut it out, and they just need to start viewing it in the baby steps that it can be helpful for them.
It would be actually kind of silly to say you need to cut this out completely, because it's not reality, right? And it's okay to enjoy something like that every once in a while. All right, folks, if you're just joining us, my name is Dr. John Acquaviva from Wingate University. This is the Fitness Doctor, and today our topic is reasons for such a high obesity rates, in particular in children. Our guest today is Stephen Vaughn. He runs XCel to Fitness, an after-school program for boys, and we're just kind of going down the list of what are some of the reasons for these high obesity rates in children. Other than sugar, which we just talked about, another one that we have down is cheap and easy to prepare foods. And because of this, they tend to be processed, which people know is somewhat of a factor in gaining weight. But why else do you think this is a factor? The foods that are so easy to prepare and they're cheap too.
Right. It's just convenient. We live in a really fast, ongoing society. And I think just that convenience factor is hard to get away from. So I think the key is trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between healthy and convenience.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? How can we bridge this gap betwing convenience and cost, basically, right?
Right.
And health,
educating the population on how you can go about making a healthy meal and how long it doesn't necessarily take 2 hours after you get home from work to
Which is
create
what
something
most people
healthy.
They kind of see that,
correct.
Right? They think of, if I have to prepare anything, it's going to take me a lot of time, whereas a lot of stuff is actually fairly easy to prepare and is still staying on that spectrum of being healthy.
And, it's not always going to be, I don't think we can ever compare with, a quick McDonald's 5 minutes and you have your meal in front of you. But at that point, we almost have to just show them that there's self-discipline involved. It might take a little bit longer, but the benefits outweigh that tremendously. Yeah,
that's an interesting point you talk about. In other words, no matter what we chat about, whether it's starting a physical activity program or eating better, some self-discipline has to come into play.
Correct.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Another one on these lists is portion sizes. I think this is the biggest problem as there is. One of the things about the movie Super Size Me, did you see that movie, by the way?
Yes, insane.
But it was also really good, wasn't it?
Yes.
And one of the things that they point out, of course, is that our portion sizes have gone up and up. And one of the things that the producer and star of that movie showed is that 15 years before he made it, the largest size was maybe around 16 ounces.
Right.
And that's literally doubled now. The largest size they have is 32 ounces. And on top of it, it's only $1.
Well, and the thing is that most kids nowadays don't even know the difference of what it used to be. So what
That's
is
just the
normal
norm
for
for
them
them,
is going into a service station and there's a 64-ounce possibility of filling up a Coke, and they don't know that that's different than it used to be.
And so after they drink that is so big, after they drink it, they can actually jump inside and play in it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Gosh, 64 ounces. Yeah.
Multi-purpose, yes.
Yeah, in fact, next thing, 7-Eleven's going to sell like a barrel. And
Right.
they'll just have like a straw as big as a grapefruit, and then they can get, several ounces per sip.
Right.
All right, Troy, we're getting near the end of our first segment. What do we got?
All right, Doug, it's time for the fitness nuts in the news.
This is a great segment.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
My story today, I did some research. It's actually a fairly recent article. It's about a father named Michael Stansberry, his daughter Lillian. She's 5 months old.
Lillian workout.
So he's decided to do his workouts with his daughter.
Got it.
So he puts her on the floor, puts her on the carpet, and whatever she does, he does the same thing while wearing a full sweatsuit.
Got it.
So she does little planks. She gets up. She falls over. He does the same exact things.
Got it.
It's hit the internet. It's got over 1.1 million views, just like the Fitness Doctor.
Very good.
And he's lost 5 pounds per week.
Is that? Oh, wait a minute. Per week.
He's doing this every day. So
This shows how active his 5-year-old daughter is.
yeah. So he gets his workout in and some good family time. So
in other words, he's not on a treadmill, he's not on a bike, he's just standing up, and if she falls down and gets up and she spins around, he falls up.
He calls it the baby boot camp yoga workout.
That could be pretty destructive.
What do you mean
in a house,
destructive?
put a few holes in the walls going
It
after.
might be, yeah. They try. In fact, it's a good thing nobody's doing it. Everything their little terrier does too.
Right.
Then they would certainly ruin some stuff. Now, how
maybe
old,
something that you could look into with the
with
three
my
little
kids?
ones,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my kids are 3, 2, and 1, and yeah, my guess is if I followed any one of them around for even more than 10 minutes, I might lose as much as 5
I'd
pounds a
break
minute.
something. Yeah, definitely.
Now, how long did this guy do this? Is he still doing this as far as we know?
Yeah, as far as we know, it was posted last month. So for 4 weeks, he's had a lot of views and it's just gone viral.
Gosh, 5-year-old. And let's talk about the little girl's name again.
Lillian.
That's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to the family. In fact, the guy's like, everybody's like, yeah, that kid has brought you a lot of joy. And they're like, yeah. And you probably love her a lot. Yeah, it's probably a lot. And then he says, but yeah, the best thing is I've lost weight because of her. So this is fantastic. Oh, that's neat stuff. Anything else on that guy or the girl?
No, that's it. She said that she likes to do push-ups and planks a lot at a young age, so he tries to mock it too.
I'm wondering if he showed her how to do push-ups and planks.
Yeah.
This would be funny if eventually he's like teaching her what to do, because when she gets older, he's like, I'm bored with all this plank and push-up stuff. Let's do something else. I like that idea. Good stuff. All right, this is the Fitness Doctor. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva, an exercise physiologist from Wingate University. In studio with me, in addition to Troy, is Stephen Vaughn, and we're talking about reasons for high obesity levels. Let's get started on this, and then maybe after our break we can talk about this a little more. But let's switch from dietary and food issues to a little bit more about physical activity or the lack thereof. One of the things that many lists will come up with when they talk about why is obesity such a big issue in children is there's simply less play, less informal play that kids do, and there's more formal play, or the choices that they make for leisure activities are involved in technology, so there's not much movement at all. So let me ask you this, Stephen. You're old enough and maybe even young enough to ask this question. My guess is you were involved in more informal play as a kid than kids today. And what I mean by informal play, of course, is going outside and putting bases where a tree is and where the sidewalk ends, and then just creating bases and then playing kickball or baseball, whatever the case is. And it just seems that kids do that less and less. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely would. And I think with travel clubs and everything else going on, it's just pushing those kids to get involved with one sport at a serious level at a very young age.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this after the break. You're listening to The Fitness Doctor. We'll be back more after this message.
Planning your next step in life? Come complete your education in a dynamic, caring environment at Wingate University. Enrollment and construction have skyrocketed in the past 2 decades as students pursue challenging and rewarding degrees in fields like the health sciences, business, and education. U.S. News & World Report has named Wingate University the 6th best value in the South. Visit one of our 3 great campuses, Wingate, North Carolina, Hendersonville, or Charlotte, or check us out at wingate.edu. Major in a great life at Wingate University.
Hi, and welcome back to the Fitness Doctor, the program where we address your exercise, nutrition, and overall health needs. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva, an exercise physiologist in the School of Sports Sciences at Wingate University. Troy, what do we have for this segment?
All right, this segment's rundown is special in-studio guest Stephen Vaughn is still here with us. More on obesity in childhood. We have the social media breakdown, and to wrap it up, the research minute.
All right, let's get back to it. We're discussing the reasons why so many children are obese. In the first part of the show, we've discussed mostly food-related issues on why obesity is more prevalent today than it was, say, 30 years ago. We talked about portion sizes, talking about high sugar amount in foods. We talked about easy, accessible foods that tend to be more fat, have more sugar in it, and so forth. And then we started to talk about informal play versus formal play. We'll come back and talk about that a little more. Today, our guest is Stephen Vaughn. He is the owner and proprietor of XCel to Fitness. He's a former physical education instructor, mainly at the elementary school level, so he's a perfect guest for the day. And Stephen, let's talk a little bit about your program, XCel to Fitness. Tell the folks what this is all about.
All right, XCel to Fitness is a 3rd through 5th grade boys fitness and character development program. We use speed, strength, agility, balance, and cardio, as well as giving them the character aspect of teamwork, leadership, and goal setting. Our mission is to use the fundamentals of fitness to develop the character boys need to chase their dreams. So we really just lay the framework for them to get excited about just being active.
Yep.
We use unique challenges, and at the end of our program, we have a big event where all the boys from different schools in the area participating come to a big event where they run through a fitness obstacle course challenge.
Got it.
And it just refreshes the mindset of being active, and it also lays the foundational pieces so that it's not just sports specific, it's fitness based.
Got it. And I want to say it wasn't. It was last year was your first year in doing this and out of physical education, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So it's been about a year and a half that you've been doing XCel to Fitness.
Well, the program, I was doing it before I left teaching, and then it just forced me out of teaching. So
Got it.
The last year, I've been out of teaching and doing it full time.
In other words, you went from a millionaire to a multimillionaire.
Exactly.
Doing this. Now, who has access to this program? It's pretty much a Mecklenburg Union County issue, or
it started there. There, but the format of the program, it's a nonprofit, and actually, people all over the nation can actually buy an affiliate chapter of this and run it for their community.
Got it. And you're there virtually every day, right? This takes a great deal of your time. And is there a program today, for instance? Is there a program going to be run after school hours today?
Actually, today marks the first day of registration for our spring season. So in 2 weeks, there will be teams across Charlotte Meck and Union County that will be participating in the 6-week program.
Awesome. So people can go to exceltofitness.com.
Yes, sir.
Right? And they can get more information about you, the program itself, how to register their kids for it, and so forth. But it's just for boys in this case.
Yes, it is.
Good stuff. And then eventually it'll be XCel to Fitness for girls, probably. Good stuff. All right, before we move on, Troy, give us the social media info.
All right, social media info for us at the Fitness Doctor, real simple. That's WU Fitness Doctor. That's our Twitter page, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page. We have some good videos and post some good tips and health tips of the week, and always some giveaways as well, so be sure to stay tuned with those. And feel free to reach out to us via email anytime you guys want. That's woofitnessdoctor@wingate.edu.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned a free giveaway. Our guest a couple weeks ago was Eric Wickstrom. He was an athletic trainer from UNC Charlotte, and he left us some really cool dry fit T-shirts. So at the end of the show, we're going to have to talk about how our listeners
Keyword
can
dry fit T-shirt, Nike dry fit T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. They're nice. They're nice. In fact, the voice you're hearing may have kept one for himself. I'm not going to divulge that for sure, but that may be the case to show the high quality of the ones that he left for. So we'll give that away before the end of the show. How's that?
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out on our social media pages.
Okay, we talked about some reasons for high obesity, and we left off with, in the first half of our show, with less informal play, more formal sports. So, Stephen, let's tease this out a little more. When we talk about informal play as people in the field of physical education and fitness and so forth, what we're talking about is what you and I did, what is famous for so many kids when they're young, is they grab a brother or sister, they grab a couple people from down the block, their buddies from school, and they get together a tag, two-hand tag football game, or they get together left side of the infield and outfield is fair only in softball or baseball. They play ultimate frisbee or some frisbee game, and of course, as a lot of us know, sometimes they get some type of apparatus, a ball or a frisbee, and they just make up stuff. And clearly there was more of that going on in past years than there is today. More and more kids are signed up for sports. More and more kids are signed up for after-school programs and so forth, and there's less informal play. The reason that this is such a big deal, and the reason this is a pointed topic, is that when we're in formal play, when we go to football practice, for instance, we go to lacrosse practice, for instance, in and of themselves, they're good things, right?
Right.
They're being taught skills. Often the coaches are good mentors, and they understand where the kids are at, both psychologically and physically, and they gear them, and they're coaching from those standpoints. But there's a lot of standing around. Whereas when we play in our backyard, for instance, there's a lot more running around. There's a lot less discussion of the rules. There's a lot less. It's just play.
It's just fun.
It's just fun, right? And when things are fun, we tend to play more.
Right.
And not that formal play, like being on the baseball team or the football team, but adults get involved. And we just have to kind of maybe bring it a little more toward informal play. In other words, as parents, those parents that are listening out there, we need to encourage them to get their sons and daughters to do more of that. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely would. I think that in today's society, I may be jumping ahead of you a little bit, but we're competing with a lot. I mean, kids have access to a lot of things, video games, TV. There's a lot of appealing things out there that lure them in. And what we need to do is not blame the kid for not being active. We need to look in the mirror and figure out how to get them active through creative ways and fun ways, refreshing ways. Be engaged with them. Get outside, involve the neighborhood in it, and just start really just promoting creativity and the fun aspect of it, because that'll keep them coming back.
That's right. In fact, one of the ways that kids learn informal play is from young ages. The parents kind of show them. Like, for instance, our babies are 3, 2, and 1, and they're at the cusp, especially the 3-year-old. They're at the cusp of more informal play. But I'll bring a soccer ball up there, this tiny little soccer ball, and then I'll put up like 2 sticks, and those are the goals. And then I just put a ball in front of the 2-year-old, in front of the 3-year-old, and I act as the goalie, and I say, now try to kick the ball through here. And then after they kick it, I just go get it to them, I roll it back to them, and I'm just showing them informal play. And this great deal comes from the parents, at least in part, right? Like, kids naturally know how to play, but what you're saying is there needs to be a little more push, a little more direction, a little more encouragement coming from the parents.
Right, and I think it's just easy as a parent not to be involved and just tell your kid to go outside and have fun until dinner.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we're missing the boat.
Yeah. Now, what was this, as a physical educator, was this ever a conversation that you had with your students about try to play more informally, or with the parents that you were in contact with? Was this ever a topic of discussion with any of them?
It was. And, well, one of the things early on in my teaching career, and the last couple of years, I really just implemented this in my program at school. But I realized that we need a wow factor in what we're doing. We need to capture them as soon as when they would come into my classroom. I wanted it to be, there'd be a wow factor involved. And it could be an old game, but a new look. Sure. And what I did was I created the games that they could relate to enough to say, I want to take this home. Yep. And at the end of my lessons, every lesson, I would say, well, this is how you could do this at home. Instead of using the bowling pins or whatever we're using today, get some plastic water bottles or something, and that's what you can use. So I allowed them to relate it to their home life and what they could do to stay active. And they loved it, and they started implementing that. It's
awesome. It's one of the reasons why we in physical education miss you, but you've just taken a step over. You're not. Right. It's not a step back or a step up necessarily, but that's why we miss people like you, because I'm sure you're doing really good stuff. That's Stephen Vaughn that you're hearing the voice of. He's our guest. He's the owner and proprietor of XCel Fitness. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva. You're listening to ESPN 730, and this is The Fitness Doctor. And today's topic is trying to fight against obesity, and in particular, we know that a lot of parents are listening in, and They might be dealing with this with one or more of their kids. So we're just trying to give them a little hints to improve their kids' fitness levels and ultimately lower the percentage of body fat, especially if it's a little too high. Troy, I understand that we have people contacting us through social media and questions are coming through. Shoot one at us.
All right, Doc. This one is Mary out of South Charlotte. And her question is pretty broad here, Mary. Her question is, should we ban any food or drinks?
I think what they're talking about here, Stephen, is you're probably familiar with this. In New York City, Mayor Bloomberg, the former mayor, in fact, he thought that there was too many sugary drinks out there, and I think he wanted to ban it in all restaurants or fast food restaurants. Do you remember any details on that?
A little bit.
It was by size of that you can.
That's right. We're talking to the New Yorker here. Now, it never went through, obviously. It was just a push, right? Mm-hmm. And it was by size. So, in other words, you could still buy sugary drinks, iced tea, all kinds of soda.
It was
and so
like
forth.
more for the chain restaurants when they would sell them that you couldn't, buy that size that you guys were talking about before in the other show.
Got like 32, 64 ounces.
So they were limiting the size, but I mean, people could still go to the grocery store and just buy in bulk or whatever it was.
Now, you were there, obviously, right? You're there during this. And when you initially heard this as a New Yorker, what was your thought?
Not going to work.
It's not going to work. And if you had to guess, like if there was an actual vote that took place.
Yeah, especially in New York. If people want to get what they like, they're going to get what they want.
Hey, I'm a New Yorker. I can get what I want.
They're going to go to the grocery store and buy, a large thing of Coke instead of, having a trouble finding a way around a fast food restaurant.
So it lived hard and died hard really quickly.
Very quickly.
And there's probably no more discussion of that, is there?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not that I've heard.
All right. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever actually ban anything. I think we can try to do it, but I don't think anything will ever be banned.
Well, and there's always going to be a way to get to that stuff. And so it comes back to self-discipline.
And education,
and
right?
education.
You and I would agree with that.
Correct.
Those two things, right? We have to educate, and at some point you have to say, no, I already had a soda today. That's enough. I just need to drink water for the rest of the day, and that will make an impact.
Because if we drink less and buy less, they're going to make less, right?
Absolutely. All right, we have the Research Minute. Troy, why don't you give the intro for that?
All right, Doc. This is part of the show where the doctor has taken his research a step further on today's topic and got an article to back it up that's fairly recent. So, Doc, why don't you take it away?
All right, this is from the International Journal of Behavioral Nutrition and Physical Activity, a full mouthful, in 2013. So this is actually just came out in the last calendar year. The title is A Childhood Obesity Intervention Developed by Families for Families, Results from a Pilot Study. In other words, what they wanted to do was they took students who were obese and then they incorporated their parents, a parent or both parents, and they said, here's what you can do. Here's an intervention program you can do to try to lower the obesity rate in your child. And so what they did was they sent home letters to each of those kids letting them know that their child was diagnosed as having a high BMI, a high body mass index, which indicates that they're at least overweight and maybe even be obese. There was information on BMI and what it meant for obesity. In other words, they were made fully aware that their child was struggling with this. And then there was nutrition counseling for these individuals. And one of the best parts about this, they gave these parents a 6-week program on the basics of how to incorporate more physical activity into their child's lives. There was also another group that didn't go through any of this intervention. And needless to say, after a period of, I think this was 12 weeks, that they found that the children in the intervention program showed significant improvements in their rate of obesity, their amount of physical activity daily, how much TV they viewed daily, and then ultimately their dietary intake was improved. So this just shows, Stephen, that interventions can be helpful and that education is one of the biggest parts of this.
Right, and being engaged with your child.
That's right. This is one of the biggest things. Is we tend to think our kid, especially if he's older, that they don't need any guidance, but the fact is they need guidance all the time, and we need to take a look at this. Well, that's all we have time for today, folks. Remember, you don't get old because you stop playing. No, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. Please join us next time here on The Fitness Doctor.
Support for The Fitness Doctor provided by Razzano Chiropractic, combining the knowledge of nutrition, exercise, sleep, and chiropractic care. Dr. Razzano will help you heal faster and achieve your wellness goals. Razzano Chiropractic, located on Skyway Drive in Monroe.